Line's good.
Never on.
Whoa.
Hard. Hard, please.
Come on, Brent. Line's good. Got real close. The hair high, right? Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Ooh, welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham, Scott alongside. As always, hello, Scott.
Sean, I'm here. I got here. Yeah. Pretty excited, had a good day today. Got a massage. You ever get a massage?
Once or twice, not too frequently though.
Yeah, I think I should go more because, my leg was pretty smarting from our game the other night, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But yeah, no, overall good day. How about you, man? Good day?
Yeah, not too bad. Not nearly as relaxing as that. Doing a lot of stuff. Things are busy, but very excited because not only are they busy here, Scott, busy across the pond as well. As the European Championships getting started this Saturday. And who better to talk to than one of our friends from Rocks Across the Pond? Ryan McGee is here. Ryan, how are you?
I can think of about 25 different people that it would be better to talk to about the current state of European curling than me.
Well, let's say this up front. One of the reasons why you are flying solo is that your partner, the Professor of Peel, is in this event.
I know, it's amazing. I am so proud of that guy, and I can't wait to see how they do.
Yeah, so Jonathan won, or his team won, the English men's nationals last
Yeah, let's not give
spring.
Jonathan any credit for this.
I mean, he is just the lead, so I mean, come on. So he is.
It's the hardest position in curling now.
That is true. So he is there in the European B side. They'll be trying to get promotion to the A side. Ryan, give us a little peek behind the curtain here, because you said on your last episode that you're kind of leaving him alone a little bit, letting him train, letting him get ready. But what have you heard from him in terms of, if anything, just the prep for this and what's gone into it and what his level of anticipation for this week?
I mean, I think they're excited because they are taking this. I mean, Jonathan and I have fun on our podcast, but trust me, they are taking this serious as a heart attack. They scheduled to try to peak for this event. They've been training. They've been in Scotland practicing. They've got a hell of a coach. So they are, I hope they're ready. Then, yeah, I'm excited for him. And I couldn't be more pumped. I know that this is something that he talked about when he first moved out to England, and now to see this kind of coming to fruition for him all these years later, it's just so exciting.
Very cool.
It's a really cool story for sure. So we will get into the B side in a little bit, but because Jonathan is not here, it does present an interesting quandary for us in terms of the annual bad beer bet. So if you haven't been with us for that long, or this is your first time listening to a European preview from us, over the past few years, we've gotten together. Jonathan's come on with me and Scott's gone on with Ryan, and we've split it. One of us has done the preview of the men, the other the women's, and we each make picks for the A and the B side, and we make it a bet. So whichever show in aggregate loses has to drink terrible beer either on their show, or if we do a year-end sort of hangout on Facebook Live. Without Jonathan this year, we're got to change it up a little bit. So what we're going to do is Scott and I are going to try to come to a consensus on our picks, and we'll go up against Ryan 2-on-1, but with one set of picks. But as an addition to that, if Jonathan and Team England make it to the A, if they get promoted out of the B side, he wins overall, and all three of us have to drink terrible beer. So it's a layered bad beer bet.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we're not betting with Jonathan. He has no idea that we're doing this. This is just kind of in honor of him.
Yes.
If they manage to do this, we're gonna celebrate by drinking some horrible beer.
We're gonna toast him in the best way possible.
That's right.
Now, if he wins and if they get up to the A side, is he just going to start big timing us? I know he won't big time you, right? But he might big time us and say, I don't have time for you guys anymore.
Oh, he'll big time me.
Well,
boy.
it'd be warranted, I guess. He's
Oh yeah.
a major player. So, so let's get into this. Very exciting times for European curling. I was going through the fields last night in getting ready for this. They're pretty stacked on both the men's and the women's side. European curling continues to get better and better. Let's start with the men here because that's what I have pulled up in front of me. So I've ranked the teams based on tiers that I think they fall into. And I think the men's is kind of straightforward. So let's start with the contenders for the men's. And I'm going to start with Team Scotland. Bruce Mowat, they are the defending champions of this event. They went 8-1 last year, beating Italy and Switzerland in the playoffs. On the season, they are 23-11. They lost the quarterfinals of the National this past weekend here in Canada, out east. Lost to Nicholas Edin in the quarterfinals there. They missed the playoffs at the Tour Challenge. And overall on the season, their hammer efficiency is down from where we've seen it in the past, down at 0.43. Scott, I think that's a concern for this team, but where do you size them up here as we go into this event?
Obviously, one of the top contenders at any event they're going to be at. So I'm not really worried about too much about how the season has gone so far. You sort of think that they'll strap it in when they get to this big one and definitely be ready for it. Ryan, what do you think about this team?
Is health still an issue for this team? I know, was it Hammy that had the hand injury?
Bobby, I think.
Bobby had, yeah.
Yeah. I think they're all good
I mean,
now. I don't think anyone's missed any games so far this season.
yeah, I always kind of view them and Nick Edin kind of like the way Tiger would approach tournaments. Like he always made sure that he was peaking for the majors, and he was very specific in the way that he scheduled himself. And I kind of view Sweden and Scotland as kind of the same way.
Yeah. Don't take the early part of the season too seriously. Just it's really a tune-up. And for
Use
these
it
guys,
to work on what you need to work on.
exactly. Yeah, get ready for the big stuff. And I mean, all that being said, though, going back to back is really hard. And of course, they won the world championship as well. So they did the double last year. So that's going to be tough for them. And as we'll get to, there is a team that is riding high and riding hot into this event. So it is a pretty stacked field. So my next contender, let's go right to them then. Let's go to the Italians. Joel Returnaz, 8-1 last year, winning the bronze medal. They are a scorching 36-4 this season. They won both the Tour Challenge and the National. They are scoring 9.6 points per game while giving up a tidy 4.8 points per game. I don't know if you're a math major, but that is quite literally double the amount of points per game. Their steel defense is 0.07. So they are not giving up anything when they have the hammer. They are absolutely on a roll. It's amazing what having the Olympics in your country and having your Olympic committee commit to you financially can do for a team. Ryan, do you think anyone can stop this train?
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's curling. But I mean, can we just stop and like appreciate how amazing this is? Like, even like forget about like the fact that there probably is a little bit of extra money being pumped into the program, knowing that they are in the Olympics. Just the fact that this team went from being, an anecdote that Russ Howard would tell every Worlds to now being a 3-time Grand Slam champion.
Yeah.
And being talked about as being like a legitimate world championship contender, and right now, a couple of years out, a medal contender. I mean, absolutely just props to that entire team and that entire program. And the women aren't far behind.
Yeah,
you gotta wonder if going back to Europe might actually be a disadvantage for them, given how well they're playing on Canadian ice this year, right? But no, they're like absolutely on fire. It's insane. These kind of numbers, like you just don't see them anywhere, right? You think, oh, maybe this is like Nicholas Edin playing in his national playdowns, given how sort of dominant they've been, right? But no, just incredible.
Yeah, and when you think back to China and Beijing in those Olympics, and when Constantini and Mosander won that gold medal, you thought, oh, that's a cool story, but it's mixed doubles, weird things can happen. It's not the 4-person game. For them to come through and in such a short amount of time, too. I remember Brad Gushu at the 2022 World Championship. He made a comment that Return As was very excited because they had just qualified for, I think it was the Players Championship, which was one of, if not their first mainstream slam. They might have played in the tier 2 before. And how Return As was excited because, yeah, he's gotten to play in a bunch of worlds, but the slams were more of a reach for him. And now they're just showing up and toying with people and just winning them all. So it really is not only just a great run, but how fast this has happened for them is really incredible.
Yeah, because I mean, money doesn't solve all your problems. I mean, the Chinese teams, they pumped a lot of money into not only sending teams out to Canada in the 4 years running up to Beijing, but also bringing international teams to China for events there. And this kind of success did not happen for them.
No, nor, but it, it did make us pay attention to the World Cup for 6 months. So, small victories, I guess. All right, let's move on to Nicodine and Team Sweden. They finished 4th place last year, but that was with Oscar Eriksson skipping, with Nicodine on the shelf last year with his knee injury. Speaking of Nicodine injuries, he is injured right now. Some sort of a wrist or hand injury this past weekend at the National. He kept rubbing it, and Rasmus Rana was cleaning his stones for him. So something's going on with Nicodine's right wrist. On the season, not what you would expect from them. They are 19-11. They have not won an event so far. They did lose the final of the National this past weekend, lost the final of the Shorty Jenkins Spiel to Ross White, quarterfinals of the Tour Challenge. So they've been in some playoffs, been in some good moments, but 19-11, not what you expect from this team, Scott.
No, and really not capitalizing with the hammer to the extent that we've seen them in the past. Only they're at 46%. So just not as sharp as you'd expect at the beginning of the season. That said, this is a team that you never really count out. I wonder if there's any hangover from last year, from that sort of crap out they had at the World Championships, maybe carried over a bit. The injury, always a question with Nicolas Edin. So yeah, we'll see how that develops early in the week. I was going to look at their games early in the week just to see how it shakes out for them. They got maybe a little softer schedule. Scotland didn't draw too, but the Czech Republic and the Finns around that. So maybe they're able to get off to a good start and ride some momentum. But it's not a team you count out, but they're definitely not playing at their best.
Can I just say, though, like we give Curling Canada crap sometimes, I think, for not getting the greatest schedules. Scotland, Sweden, Sunday morning. Like I think there are enough North Americans who would watch this game if it was at an hour that if you put it in the afternoon there or the evening there. Plus, if it's going to be on whatever in Sweden and Scotland, put it in. Anyway, Ryan, what do you think of these guys?
Is this like, I don't know, did you ever see the musical Damn Yankees where the guy sells his soul so the Washington Senators will win the pennant, and then like as he's making the catch to win the pennant, the devil takes him? Like, is that what happened with Nick here? Like, he sold his soul to win his Olympic gold, and now the devil is taking him one body part at a time.
It seems that way.
Might be.
Yeah, and it's weird because you don't really associate, or at least I don't associate injuries with curling that much. Like, not these type of injuries, like hip, sure, knee, okay, which I know is what last year, but a hand injury like that, you don't typically associate that with, especially a skip. Come on.
Yeah, you're not sweeping, right?
Just standing there. Come on, man. Well, hopefully then it doesn't affect him all that much. Yeah, if Rasmus Rana has to clean the rocks and that's the biggest thing, then great. But yeah, hopefully he's doing okay and can get some treatment before the event starts Saturday. So let's go to my final contender, and that is Switzerland, skipped by Yannick Schwaller. They went 8-1 last year, won the silver medal, losing, of course, to Scotland in the final. quarterfinals last weekend semifinal last weekend at the National, made the quarterfinals at the Challenge. So they qualified at both slams so far, 21-10 on the season. They are giving up just under 6 points a game, which is a little concerning, I think. They do have a plus 2.1 point differential, so they're scoring over 8 a game. But that seems a little high, especially when you compare it to some of those other contenders and how well they play defense. But let's see how they do. Ryan, I think Yannick Schwaller is a guy who I have been skeptical of as I have with Benoit Schwartz over the year. I feel like you guys on your show are more positive or higher on them than I think I am.
I mean, Yannick Schwaller's still like really young. Yeah, he's only what?
Yeah.
He's only 28, and he's just now started playing in world events, because for so long it was to cruise. Like, just give him time, man.
I'm not patient.
No one is.
Come in and win right away, or get off my TV, right?
Yeah.
No, that obviously a really skilled team, and when they put it together, they're very hard to beat, right? Like, we've seen that at a bunch of events. So I think maybe the sum of their parts is more than they are as a team. Like, individually, I expect them to be better as a team just because of how good they are as throwers. But more time together, more time to gel. They could easily win this. It wouldn't surprise me.
They've got Benoit, so if you're going to beat him, make him shake. Don't let him have a shot to beat you.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the top 4 for the contenders for me. Let's move on to the next tier, which I am saying the World Championship teams. These are the teams that should really qualify for the World. Should note off the top that 8 of these teams will qualify for the World Championship. It's either you get into the World Championship or you go to B. It's like, second prize is you're fired. So it's one of those things. So let's get into our world tier, or my world tier. Start with Norway. Magnus Ramsfeld skipping the team this year. Last year it was Stefan Wallstedt. They went 4-5. This team is 20-13 on the season. They missed the playoffs at the Tour Challenge. They lost the final a couple weeks ago of the Swiss Cup Basel. So a good showing there to get into the final. Their hammer efficiency is 0.44 on the season. And without the hammer, they're only giving up 1.06 points per end. So that's pretty good. The top teams are usually under 1 in that category, but it does show that you're getting some steals, some blanks, and not giving up too many multiple ends, and certainly not too many big ends of 3, 4s and plus. So on the defensive side, you got to kind of like that number a little bit. And if they can keep some games close, these guys can make shots.
Definitely. Yeah. They're one of these teams that you're never surprised when they win games at the Worlds. They're just like that good. But they've got quite the opening stretch for Norway, taking on Scotland and Italy right out the chute. Pretty tough. So I don't know. I don't think I like that, given that's a tough start. Are they going to be able to bounce back from that and basically have to go not perfect, but really can't afford any losses after that tough start? If they catch one of them, good enough, but it's going to be tough.
I feel like that happens to Norway a lot, where they have a really front-loaded schedule, and you look and they're like 1-3, and you forget about them, and then the next thing you know, they've won 5 in a row. I think this team's coming. Don't be surprised if they make the playoffs this year.
Okay, maybe a preview to a bold pick here.
I doubt that. Maybe we'll see.
All right,
I'm trying not to drink an IPA here.
Right. All right, let's move on to Germany and Sixten Totzek. 3-6 last year, just snuck in to the World Championship, finishing 8th. Some lineup changes here for this event and for the team in general. Claudius Harsch is out at 3rd. Joshua Suter is in. And you also have a change at lead. Dominic Grendel is out, and Jan Lucia Haag is in. Hope I got those right. This team beat Benny Cap, who is Benny Cap with Mark Muskowitz at the playdowns to get into this event. It was a best out of 5 series between the two teams. They won in 5 at the German Euro trials. Overall on the season, including that event, 7-5 in tour level events. In those 12 games, they have 10 steals. So pretty good defensively. You got to like that for them if they can get some steals here, keep things clean overall. I like that for them. I like that strategy, but we've seen him get in trouble against the top teams in past events at the Euros and the World Championship. So Ryan, I don't know. What do you think the strategy should be for Totsic and this somewhat new look team?
Just manage the week and get to Worlds.
Yeah, keep it simple is what they're probably going to be hoping for. They've got a soft opening, Finland and the Czechs, and then Turkey after that. So maybe they can build some momentum, get a good feel for the ice. And like you say, Ryan, they're just trying to get to Worlds this week.
All right, another team looking to get back to Worlds. It's Czechia and Lucas Klima, 3-6 last year, good for 7th place and a spot in the World Championship. They have also had a lineup change. At the second position, Radek Boak is out. Martin Urich is in. He was the alternate in 2022. 18-10 so far on the season. They won the Prague Classic last weekend. Last year, they had the second fewest number of blank ends in the event in their 9 games, 6 blank ends total for them. So if you look at the difference in overall scoring for them, they were -10 in ends of 3+ points. Their overall point differential was -11. So when they were keeping it close, tight scores, they were even on the point differential. So you like that from them, but they're also not blanking ends. So I've seen these guys play. I like Lucas Klima the few times I've had the opportunity to talk to him. But man, oh man, sometimes you want to run out there and say, hitting is okay. You're allowed to hit. It's fine. So I think that's where they should go, but that's not his game. That's not what he likes to do. Scott, do you think that they have potentially made a jump in ability, that now they've gotten more and more reps at this level, that they might be able to sustain that level of strategy, not quite like Jennifer Jones, but in the way Jennifer Jones does?
Yeah, it's that's it's going to be really tough for anybody that, if your skill is not the same as the teams you're playing against, like probably the best way to play is to play defensive, wait for your chances. That said, are they still being coached by Craig? Because I think that's like the way that Craig would play too, is to mix it up, attack more than say sit back and play defense.
Yeah, that's a good point. That Craig does come from that school a little bit of let's just mix it up because it's boring otherwise, right?
Yeah,
Ryan?
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, Ryan, what do you think of these guys? What do you think of Klima and his chances?
All right, so to me, this is the most interesting team. It's the team that I'm paying the most attention to coming up, hopefully into Worlds. Because this is the stuff counts this year, right? Mm-hmm. So the 2024 Worlds and 2025 Worlds decide who get those 7 automatic bids to the Olympics. And if you pay attention, you know that Czechia, the last 3 last chance Olympic qualifiers has been the 11th team in the last 3 Olympics. So is this team finally going to do it? Are they not going to have to go to that last chance Olympic qualifier, or are they destined to do this 4 cycles in a row? So I'm very interested to see how they wind up doing this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if for whatever reason they have a bad week and fall out of the A, that's going to be like a crushing blow to them.
Doom.
Yeah, and
doom.
I remember talking to Saville and Klima at the 2022 Worlds, so after the Olympics, and they were disappointed, but they were also really optimistic about the next 4 years. They felt that they were in a good place at that point. They had already kind of gotten over it and were like, all right, let's do this. We're resetting. Let's go. So yeah, I kind of root for them on that level, that here we are, the 2022 Worlds. To be quite honest, nobody was really taking it that seriously, but they were like, these are our reps, arena ice. These are really good teams. Let's learn from this. And yeah, I think the development for them has been pretty good so far.
For sure.
All right, my last team in the worlds category, and that is Turkey. That is Team Karagaz, 4-5 last year for a 6th place finish. The lineup is the same. They are 5-2 on the season. They lost the final of the Prague Classic. Last season at this event, they only had 5 blanks in the course of their 9 games, the lowest in the field, but they gave up 7 3+ ends. That's way too many home run balls, if you will. A 24% hammer efficiency, which is not nearly good enough. And they only had the hammer to start the game twice. So they really need to get better at the last stone draw. That's something that all these lower ranked teams, I think that's a place for some short-term improvement that really focus on that. Get the last rock first, put yourself in a better position to start the game. But 7 3+ ends given up is way, way too many over the course of the week. So this is another team that's going to have to clean it up against the top teams and pounce when an opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, Sean, did you pronounce the name? One of my favorite things of this is when you pronounce people's names.
Yeah, Team Karagaz.
Okay.
I think it's Karagosh.
Karagosh, even
I
better.
think.
Even better. It's
That's how Jonathan says it.
Karagosh, okay.
Urjan. I've been listening to a YouTube video of how to pronounce his name for the whole show. So if I didn't hear anything, that's why. Yeah, no, I'm excited for this Team Turkey to come out and play. They were a big crowd favorite at the Worlds last year. A lot of fun for us to follow. And yeah, I think if they can keep it close, they can be able to limit those mistakes and then capitalize when they have the chance. They're going to have a good week. How about you, Ryan? What do you think?
It's a fascinating team and another great story. I think the rise of Turkish curling on both the men's and women's side is another thing that we should celebrate. It's also it's interesting that you don't see a lot of foreign coaches listed when the Turkish teams go out and play. They keep a lot of things in house, and I think that also lends to this being another great story, is that you can not only develop your own curlers, you can develop your own coaches.
Yeah, that's definitely a good news story for Turkey and maybe a blueprint for developing curling nations to follow.
But wait, I thought everyone around the world was good because of the Canadian coaches going around. I'm pretty sure that's our biggest problem in this country, isn't it?
They've had foreign coaches come in previously, but it's been a while since I've seen that for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move on to the final 2 teams, and these are the 2 teams that were promoted last year, and I have them in the hoping to stay in a category. Let's start with the B-side champs last year. It is the return of Wooter Mania to the Euro A's, the team from the Netherlands. They went 6-1 last year to win the B-side. Bit of a change this season. Jaap van Dorp is now fully in the 2nd position, and Lorenz Hockman is now in the 3rd position. That is a change from last year in the lineup in this event. 20-21 on the season. Tons of points in their games, almost 15 points a game in total. They went 0 for 4 at the Tour Challenge. They were outscored 26-14 in those games, and they did not qualify at the Swiss Cup, which was their other biggest event of the season. Ryan, do you think Wooter and his Mania has a chance?
To do what?
Stay.
Oh yeah, of course. This team is interesting because they're starting to cycle in the younger players. So you're starting to see kind of the second generation of Dutch curlers come in and get playing time for the national team, which is a sign that a developing nation is going to be staying. So yeah, interesting to see what their result winds up being this week.
Yeah, and you wonder if what they've been learning. They seem to have been playing a lot more the past couple of years, going out and playing in bigger events. And so, what are they learning that's going to help them at this event? You know, they finished like 8th, 9th, 10th at Euros the last few times they've been there. are they going to take that step forward this year?
We'll see. I mean, the last time Wooter was at the Worlds, I remember he had so many chances and they were in so many ends, and then just one shot here and there, and then they gave up 4. And so they are really close, and I think closer than say the 2021 record would indicate, or the point differential would indicate. It's really on the margins, and that's partly because he plays that aggressive lot of rocks in play strategy, where one shot or even a half shot can lead to a multiple or a 3-ender.
Also, shout out, also great for someone from another podcast to come on a different podcast and mention a third podcast. But check out Bill Shearhart, A Pain in the Glass. He just interviewed their coach, Shari Liebrandt. So if you want kind of behind the scenes on Dutch curling and how this has all happened, go check out that interview.
All right, and the final team in the A side, it is Finland. It is Kalle Kiskinen, silver medal last year, 6-1 through the round robin. Lineup change here at the second position. Leo Uni is in. They are 8-7 so far on the season, 3-2 at that Prague event. In 2022, in that final, they were down 5-0. That doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, because they lost. Sorry, they were down 5-0, gave up a 2, steal a 2, steal of 1 to get down 5-0 in that game. So that's one of those things where you look at, again, a team that might not be as talented shot making wise as the top teams. You can't put yourself in those positions. The top teams are way too good defensively. Keep it simple. Keep it open. Scott, this is our strategy on the very regular occurrence where we're playing people who are better than us. If you keep it simple, we can make the simple shots just as easily as they can. You hope.
That's the plan, right? That's always the plan. But you just sort of don't want to dig yourself into too big of a hole. That said, if you see an opportunity early, maybe you go for something early. If it doesn't work out, then dial it back. But I think that's what this team will be doing. And that's their goal for the week, is staying up in the A division.
The only thing I have for you on this team is Leo was an interesting follow when I used to spend time on Elon's Idiot Box.
Okay. Why? What was he posting?
He just always got his, interesting perspective, interesting opinions on the state of curling.
Okay. All right. So maybe he has a blue sky or something. Something better. All right. So that's the 10 teams on the men's A side. Let's get into the picks for the men's A side before we talk about the B. So the way our bet is going to work this year, as I said, Scott and I have to come to a consensus. The rules are for the A, pick 3 podium teams, including a winner. If your winner is correct, you get an extra point, 1 point for the podium teams being on the podium. And then you got to pick your 2 relegation teams for the points. So 1 point if you are correct on each. Scott, let's go first. We'll give Ryan the advantage on this. I think it's an advantage potentially to go second. Scott, who do you like here?
I can't not like Joel Return as the way that they're playing.
Yep.
So he's definitely a podium pick for me. Whether we go with him as a winner, I don't, I could be swayed either way. Bruce Mowat always.
Yeah.
And then that third one.
Yeah, the third spot's tough.
I don't know if we want Sweden with Nicholas Lidin with a broken hand. If we zag on this, pick Switzerland. What are you thinking?
I think let's just go with Sweden. To see Nicholas Edin miss the podium 2 years in a row, that seems like a stretch to me, even if he is a little injured this year. And again, he didn't play last year, but to see them as a team, Sweden off the podium. Plus, Anna Hasselberg also missed the podium. I think if not the playoffs last year. So like Sweden's going to do better this year. I feel confident in that, even though Anna Hasselberg is not even there. But I see a Sweden renaissance at the Euros. So let's go with Sweden. And what do you think? Just an object in motion stays in motion?
Yeah. Some number of physics law, whatever it is. I'm a scientist.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And I kind of just, I think Finland, and I don't know. I'm okay with saying Wooter's down, but what do you think?
I feel like that's too easy, right? Like, it's too easy to say, oh, the teams that came up are going back down.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it's between like maybe the Czechs or the Turks.
Yeah.
I don't really want to see either of them go down,
I mean,
but
maybe even Germany. I mean, he went 3-6 last year.
Yeah, you know what?
An
Let's
upset.
go Germany and then Netherlands to go down. Or do
Oh
you
wait,
like Finland
we're
better?
keeping Finland
You like Wooter to stay?
over Finland. I think I do. Yeah.
Okay, Germany and Finland to go down then.
Okay. All right. So those are our 5 picks. Ryan, what do you got in the men's A side?
All right, on the podium, give me Italy, Scotland, and Switzerland, with Switzerland to win. And then going down, I have Finland and Turkey.
Finland and Turkey. All right. So those are our picks on the A side. Let's talk about the B side. 16 teams in the men's B. Fewer in the women's side. I honestly have no idea how they figure this out and why but it is what it is. So there's 16 teams in the men's B. Let's just run through them all really quick. It is Austria, Belgium, Denmark, England, Estonia, France, Hungary, Ireland, Latvia, Portugal, Slovakia, Spain, and Wales. Those are the teams that are in there from last season. The promotions from the C side are Liechtenstein, Poland, and the seaside winners from last season. It's Ukraine, one of the coolest stories in the sport last year. So those are the 16 teams. Ryan, are any of those teams really interesting to you? Anyone that you are particularly watching?
Well, yeah, of course, Denmark. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like there's always one team in the B that you fully expect to just run the table and just have fun on their way back to the A. Denmark seems to be that team this year. The interesting thing to me is the way that the groups got split up, and it's very similar to the way that we see the Briar and the Scotties groups get split up when they're A and B, and there's always someone saying, "Oh, this is the group of death because these 3 teams are really, really good." If you look at it in Group A, there's 3, 4 teams that are really, really good, but you look at Group B, and it's like, okay, 5 or 6 of these teams could make the playoffs, and I feel like it's
Right.
that way in the Briar and the Scotties too. And it's like, okay, well, what do you consider to be a group of death? A group where you can almost put in and pin what 3 teams you think are going to make the playoffs, or a group where anyone could make the playoffs. And to me, it's all a matter of perspective. If you're in the group that has the 3 teams that are probably going to make the playoffs, you probably think, "Oh, we're in the group of death." But if you're in the other group and you're like, "Man, every single one of these games is going to be a beatdown," you probably think, "Oh, we're in the group of death," right?
Mhm.
That's the interesting thing to me. Group A, Estonia with a little bit of a different lineup than what we're used to seeing. Denmark and Latvia, those are 3 really, really good teams. Poland, like, watch out for them. Like, they're back. You know, they're a legal governing body again. They were always solid, and we didn't really hear anything about them because they didn't compete for like 4 years.
Yeah.
So interested to see how that team does. I think they're pretty solid. It's just, again, you've got Denmark, Estonia, and Latvia in that group. Group B, which is where our friends at Team Reckless are in. Man, that is a loaded group. But you fully expect Denmark to make it. If you're in Group B, if you're in that group that Denmark is not in, you either want to finish first or third. Because if you finish second, you're gonna have to beat Denmark to make it into the A's.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you definitely don't want that Denmark game in the semifinal. Like you want to see them later on for sure. Scott, what are you thinking on the B side? Is there anyone else you're got an eye on here?
Yeah, so like looking at Group B, I got my eye on Spain as a possible
Mm-hmm.
contender. Maybe
Wales.
Slovakia. Yeah, Wales.
Wales came out of, like, I don't want to say nowhere, but they had a really solid campaign last year. Kind of surprising to me, but it did not surprise Jonathan at all that Welsh team was as good as they were last year.
Okay. Yeah, so that's sort of what I'm seeing there. I agree on Denmark, Estonia, and Latvia.
And of course, Team Reckless.
And then Team Reckless. Like you say, I think Group B, there's a lot of teams that I could see coming into the top 3. Who's going to get promoted? I think we're both agreed on Denmark. as one. And would I take Estonia or Latvia over a team in Group B? Maybe. But Spain is the one that's jumping off the page for me right now.
All right, so I think Spain is a team that I was looking at too. Sort of what do they do after last season, and what happened for them with the getting relegated? How can they bounce back? They have good performances in some of the other disciplines. So Spain's a really interesting side, and I mentioned at the top, how does the Ukrainian side? How do they do in this event with the step up, first time getting to that level? I think that's going to be a really interesting and a fun story to keep track of over the course of the week. Not going to pick them. You don't have an expectation that they're going to make it through, but just a really cool story to watch. So we have Denmark and Spain, a little chalky there. Ryan, who do you like on the B side?
Man, well, Denmark, obviously, I think you can almost put it would be. I would be stunned if they did not make it back to the A. I mean, you look at all right. The skip for Denmark is the only player in the B with a Wikipedia page, so that's. And then the other team, it's interesting because I've watched Jonathan and Team Wretchless play Martin Struksons from Latvia a decent amount. They've gone to Riga and played them a few times. So, like, if it winds up being head to head, England versus Latvia for a spot in the A's, that's going to be a really good game, because watching those two teams play, it's always been a good game. I want Jonathan and Rob and Joe to listen to this and get mad. Felix, you don't matter because you're not going to play. But I want them to listen to this and get angry, because I am taking Denmark and Poland.
Poland. All right. So
I like it.
There you have it. Our picks on the men's side. Of course, we still have the women's side to discuss, and we will do that. But we're going to take a quick break. Scott.
Yes.
What do we use to record this fine audio program?
Well, Sean, we always use Zencastr, my favorite podcast recording platform.
Yeah, me too. I really like Zencastr. We started using it a few years ago. I think start of the pandemic. Actually, Ryan from Rocks Across the Pond turned us on to Zencastr because we were using Skype and recording on Skype, which presented editing issues because you get the whole Skype call, not just what you want to record, what you want to have on your show. The audio is not as good because with Zencastr, you're getting the input from each person, whereas on a Skype record, you're getting the one person side of it. So it didn't always sound great. So we love Zencastr. We've been using it for years. It gives us the video when we've done video, it gives us the audio, really good quality, really easy to edit, gives you post-production quality as well. Scott, by far the best recording stuff that we have used.
And that's the truth.
Yes. So we are part of the Zencastr family of shows and stuff, and we're very excited to invite you to try out Zencastr if you want to start your own show. Zencastr.com/pricing, and you can use our promo code to get a 30% discount from your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. Scott, our offer code might surprise you. It's What's Old is News, all one word. This is a joint deal because I also have the history podcast that is called What's Old is News. I use Zencastr for that show as well. And if you go back and listen to some of my early episodes, like early episodes, like 2013, 14 range, you can really tell the difference that Zencastr has made in the overall quality. So again, Zencastr.com/pricing, use What's Old is News in the offer code, 30% off any paid Zencastr plan. Again, Zencastr.com/pricing. What's Old is News if you want to sound great on your own show.
I'm heading there now, Sean.
All right, and we are back. Let's get into the women's side of the 2023 European Curling Championship. I have, similarly to the men, broken the women's field for the A side into tiers. And let's start with the top tier, which is populated.
All right, but all right, let's be clear here. There are 2 tiers.
Yeah.
In this event. There's Team Tiranzoni, and then there's
Yeah.
9 teams that are pretty much even. Like that, those are your tiers here.
Well, okay. So I was going to say, yeah, like the top tier is populated by one team. And yes, it is Sylvana Tiranzoni and Switzerland. Silver medalist last year going 6-3. Of course, new front end this season with Selena Wichchonk and Carol Howald in this team with the big lineup change. Hasn't really messed them up too much. 31-7 on the season. They have made the quarterfinal and the semifinals at the 2 slams so far this year. Won the Stu Cells in Halifax, as well as the Shorty Jenkins. Hammer efficiency at 0.47. Steel efficiency at 0.30. Those are both pretty good numbers. You'd like to see the hammer number a little higher for them. They're typically above 50% in a lot of their events, but they're scoring just under 9 points a game. Ryan, you mentioned it. It's kind of them and anybody else. So if they don't win, how surprised will you be?
All right, so not that surprised because they usually have it geared up for Worlds. I don't think that they've won Euros all that often. I think that they more just like plan to win Worlds.
And that's all they do. That's just their move.
Yeah, that's it's what they're known for, winning Worlds. With this field, though, they're the heavy betting favorites.
So Silvana has not won a Euros.
I gotta think that they're easily in the catbird seat for this one, guys. Much better than better resume, I'd say, than everybody else on the field. Apologies in advance to Madeleine Dupont, but
is she playing?
Well, let's get into that team. Let's talk about Denmark, because the next tier is everybody else. And we're going to start with the defending champions from Denmark. And Madeleine Dupont is not playing in this event. She is not listed on the roster for Team Denmark. It
Really?
is her
She
team,
is? All right,
though.
She is on the World Curling Federation site.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, World Curling Federation has her and Wikipedia does not. Like, I would trust World Curling Federation, honestly.
Well, I'm going on the press release that World Curling sent that did not have her listed.
Oh, well, then they need to update their website.
So according to the press release that went out, it is Mathilde Halsey, who is going to be Halsa, who is skipping but throwing the third stone. Jasmine Lander is going to be throwing the fourth stone for the defending champs. Madeleine Dupont did play at the Tour Challenge Tier 2, where this team won the silver medal. Mathilde didn't play in that event. So a little bit of uncertainty going into it, apparently, with conflicting information on the World Curling Federation website, yet again confirming our belief that it's the worst curling site in the sport.
There's a few of those.
For sure.
All right, so what is the difference then for this team, Scott, for you as a very well-known Madeleine Dupont hater, if she plays or if she does not play?
Well, Sean, I came into this podcast all set to be like, you know what? This is the year I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw my support behind Team Denmark. And now, boy, I don't know. I think it's a huge step down, no?
Yeah. She's really good.
Yeah. Hey, Matilda's good, y'all. So I remember it was a couple of years ago, Madalena again did not play. And Matilda went out there and I think made playoffs of Euros. Like, everyone was expecting, myself included, expecting Denmark to go down to the Bs, and Matilda not only played well but made playoffs.
I mean, yeah,
maybe misremembering that, but
looking at the field, I could see it happening for sure.
Yeah, I think for them, and when you look at sort of the strategy that they've taken as a team, like last year, they just crushed people. They outscored, their scoring differential was 100-49 in this event. They just crushed people. Coming into this, they went 1-3 at the Danish Open a couple weeks ago, only 15-13 on the season, but for them, aggressive works. They steal at a 0.3 rate. So 30% of the time, like they are really playing very aggressive ends. And for them, if they can pull it off, make those shots towards the end of the end, it works. So I'm all in for this. I like them mostly because Scott, you hate them. So it's kind of fun when they win. And they are the defending champs.
Yeah, no doubt. So who is next, Sean?
Next, let's go to Sweden and Anna Hasselberg not playing in this event. It is your 2022 Swedish champions. That is Isabella Rana. Hasselberg went 5-4 last year, missing the playoffs. This is Rana's first appearance at the Euros. They are the 2023 Players Champion winners. Quarterfinals this past weekend at the National, did not qualify at the Challenge, third at the Oslo Cup. And their hammer efficiency, this is going to be their main stat, I think, for them to improve if they want to have a really good week here, all the way down at 0.34 on their hammer efficiency. Gonna have to get better at that, especially in this field where you could probably take advantage of a couple of these teams with a lot of rocks in play. So you're going to want to see that number around 45 to 50% for them to have success. But Ryan, do you think this is the start of the changing of the guard for Swedish curling, giving Rana this platform? Of course, she won it, but getting her onto the stage.
I mean, that's a lot. I don't know about all that, but this is a really good team. They've been really good for a while. This has been coming. Is it going to be a changing of the guard? I wouldn't go that far, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they wound up winning this thing.
Yeah, they could be Tirinzoni in a game, right? Like in a semifinal or a final. That's not out of the realm of possibility for sure.
And I mean, we talked about Yannick Schwaller being only 28. Isabella Rana is only 26.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like she's been around a lot more, but still very, very young.
Just everyone calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And Hasselberg has to win a world championship. I have to get one of the bold predictions right at some point. That has to prove to be right before we could move on to a new Swedish national team. But yeah, so it'll be fun to see Isabella Rana there. And again, the depth of some of these countries. This is a relatively new development in the international game where you do have countries now that have depth and can send multiple teams, different teams to these events and be competitive over the course of various seasons. So very exciting to see them there. And let's move on to Scotland. Rebecca Morrison, 5-4 last season, bronze medal. They lost to Denmark in the semifinal, beat Italy in that bronze medal game. 24-13 on the season. They have a 0.61 force efficiency and a 0.28 steal efficiency. I very, very much like that because they're only giving up 0.91 points per end when they don't have the hammer. Without the hammer, they're also scoring 0.44 points per end. So their net, when the other team has the hammer, their net difference is only 0.47 points. That is, I think, very, very good. And when they have the hammer, it's double that. So Scott, I look at those two numbers and say, really good defensively by not giving up points, but also good at getting steals. So they're somehow setting up ends in a way that they're not risking big ends a lot, but getting points on their own while also playing somewhat conservatively with the hammer. And that's, I think, a format or a strategy that's going to play really well this week.
I think so. Yeah. They I wonder too, though, about the quality of their competition, looking at those, the events that they played in. Last season at the Worlds, very disappointing, right? 3-9 record for them after having to leave the event the year before due to COVID. So we haven't been able to see them do this on the bigger stages yet, which leaves me a bit skeptical. What do you think, Ryan?
I think this team's building. Jonathan is really high on Gina Aitken, their third. He thinks that she's just an outstanding curler. You know, he gets to be up there in Scotland and see a lot of these players practice and play a lot. He's really high on her. You know, this team has, you know, with Jennifer Dodds, they have some veteran leadership on there. I think this team will, by the time we get to 2026, this team will be right up there.
All right, let's head to Norway. Kristen Skaslian and her team, 4-5 last year, finished in 8th place. That did get them into the World Championships, though. So we'll see how they do this year. 17-11 on the season, force percentage at 50%. They are scoring 1.47 more points per game than their opponents, which you do like to see, but they're doing it without good peripheral numbers. Very low hammer efficiency, very high force efficiency. So they're playing really tight games, low scoring games, a total of 13 points total per game in the games they're playing. The big difference for them last year in terms of the scoring is that they gave up 4+ ends against in their games. So those 5 losses, you see those big ends, that was a net of -7 points. And that was really the difference for them in terms of scoring over the course of the week. So if they can continue that tight game, easy-ish shot strategy, I like that for them because it has worked in the past and worked so far this season. Ryan, I know it's a boring strategy, but do you think Kristen Skaslian has a chance here?
This team always kind of like I talked about managing the week with the men. This team always kind of is good at managing the week and getting to where they need to be. And then usually it may come down to LSD to see which team makes it into the playoffs. I don't expect them to go down. I expect them to be closer toward a playoff berth than toward relegation.
Yeah, and they've got their softer part of the schedule at the beginning of the week. So if they can build that cushion in the standings and then just sort of maintain from there on out, yeah, we should see them in playoff contention.
All right, another team we should expect in playoff contention, that is the Italians. Stefania Constantini, 6-3 last year, 4th place in this event, played a bunch of games so far this season, 30-14 on the season, made the quarterfinals at the 2 slams so far, semifinals at that Stu Cells Halifax event. Their hammer efficiency so far is 0.36 on the season, 38% at this event. Last year, they have a lot of stones in play. This is kind of the opposite of Skaslian. In their 9 round robin games, 11 games total last year, they had 28 ends that had a steal. 17 were for, 11 were against. That's the second most in the field. But they also were the best at the last stone draw to start the game. They had the hammer 8 times to start the game through the round robin. So you really got to like that for them when they're starting from that pole position and playing a style, Scott, that based on the numbers, at least, a lot of other teams in the field don't want to play. So they can force them into messier ends, more congested play with some of these teams that we're seeing that seem to like it a little clearer. This could be good news for them.
Yeah, it could be good news for them. And they're quite skilled at making those kinds of shots. So making it into the top 6 at the Worlds last year was a big step for them. And I expect them to continue that progress this week.
Yeah. And Ryan, you mentioned that the men's and the women's program for the Italians are certainly on the rise. I do think the women are a little further behind the men in where they stack up on the global stage, but obviously a very impressive team. And do you think that this is a team that when we get to 2026, when we consider Italian curling, that they'll be an equal threat to the men, which I don't think they are quite yet?
Well, yeah, just because like on the women's side, it really is any given week. Like you're gonna like it's like which 5-4 team is gonna be the one that sneaks into the playoffs, right? Like
Yeah.
it is a series of root canals playing playing against a field that is this quality top to bottom. And it's just who manages the root canals and who comes out on the right end of the tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Who beats the right combination of teams to not have it go to last stone draw, or who has the best last stone draw?
Right. Yeah, and we certainly saw that last year here on the women's side. So yeah,
So you say not as high up there compared to the men, but I'd kind of push back against that and say, like, really any given week, it could be 8 different teams that winds up in a top 4 situation, either at Euros or at Worlds.
Yeah, and you really just have to time it right and not to be too dismissive, but essentially Schuster it and get right at the hot at the right time, and push yourself to get that signature moment, signature event.
Hey, for 5 days he was the best curler in the world, but he picked the right 5 days.
He sure did.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see if somebody else can pick 5 days to be the best in the world, and see if Chechia and Anna Kubiskova making her return to the A side this season. Silver medal at the B side last year for Chechia. Some lineup changes here at the third and the lead position. You got Aneta Muller. Jeez, I'm so bad at these. Mullerova is in at third. Clara.
Don't even try, man.
Svetonova.
Thank you.
Svetonova is in at the lead position. She's played in this event before, back in 2022. The second, Michaela, is in. She's the new lineup, a new addition to the team here as well. 17 Bodashova, thank you. So 17 and 14 on the season. They, like Stefania Constantini, like stuff in play. They have an average of 16 points per game in their game, so total score. So bet the over on these games and see what they can do. Did not qualify at the Prague Classic, so haven't had any real great results so far this year. But Ryan, Kubiskova's got experience, so you can't count them out.
The only thing I know is when the S has the weird V over it, it's a shh.
Okay.
That's all I've learned. Weird teams. The year that they went down wasn't on mat leave.
Yeah, I don't think she played that year. Yeah.
No. So yeah, I mean, weird team. Weeks where they're really good, weeks where they're really not. They're very hot and cold. So yeah, I think that they are they're a candidate to go back down to the B, but I mean, they're also a candidate to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. As you were saying, right? Like anybody can pop in and make the playoffs here. Scott, do you think they're going to do it?
Yeah, this is like the one team that I have no idea, right? Like they definitely could finish in second place, and they definitely could finish last. Like like I'm done trying to predict them. So put it in the random number generator and see what you get.
All right, let's move on then to Estonia. 7th appearance for Mary Kaldvi and her team. They are the gold medalist from the B side in 2023. They're 10-9 on the season, won the Matchtown Trophy event in Jönköping. They did not qualify at the Tallinn Ladies International Challenger a couple of weeks ago. That's their last event coming into the European Championship. They're giving up 7 points against per game so far on the season. Their only appearance at a world championship was that 1-12 back in 2021. So a team that has some experience, but not a lot of success at the international level. But we have seen Calvi make a bunch of shots. So again, if this is a situation where she's left with one, she has a chance to make it. I'm not super optimistic at their chances to stay, but is anybody on the panel more optimistic than me?
I yield my time.
I mean, I'm optimistic about their chances to stay. I think that it's gonna be really close. Like I said, with beating the right combination of teams to get into the playoffs. It's the same thing to avoid relegation here. It's about beating the right combination of teams and having the right tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're gonna see a team get shut out here. I think you're gonna see a team that has maybe 2 wins wind up heading down to the B.
Yeah, based on how they're all kind of bunched together, or going like our expectation of sort of the level across the teams. I do think that for as much as it is everybody else, Scotland, Sweden, you would think that they should have an advantage. Italy, maybe Norway as well. And so I don't think you could still kind of tear it up a little bit.
I'll put it to you two. Among the teams that you kind of mentioned first as being like the top half, which one do you think might go down? If like a team that we consider to be a contender, like is there one that you like wouldn't be
For
stunned if they went down to the B?
for me, it'd be Scotland.
Yeah, I would put Scotland in there too. And honestly, if Madalena Dupont doesn't play, Denmark could go champion to relegated.
That would be something.
I think Matilda's too good to do that.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think Scotland, just because the results of what we've seen at the Worlds kind of tempers it a little bit. And last year with the 5 and 4, as you say, everybody kind of clustered together. Could have gone the wrong way for them last year. So
yeah,
we'll have to see. All right, 2 teams left on the women's A side. Let's go to Turkey. Dilsat Yildiz and her team 5 and 4 for a 5th place finish last year. You do have a change at the lead position. 8 and 6 so far on the season. They lost the final of the Tallinn International Challenger. They are scoring though in those 14 games, 9.6 points, 4 per game. Only 6 blanks last year. 5 of them were 4. So only 1 blank when the other team had the hammer in their 9 games last year. So that's a sign of rocks in play. She's playing aggressive without the hammer. So overall, when you look at their multiples, they were doing very well last year. They scored 16 multiples and gave up 17 multiples last year. So they're playing aggressive. I like that. They scored a ton of threes last year. So when you look at overall scoring statistics, they can push the envelope. We've seen Dilsat for a few years. She can play. The concern has always been, can the rest of her team play at a high enough level? Feels like it's starting to get to that point where she doesn't have to make miracle shots every end, maybe just every 3rd or 4th end. So that is an improvement. Scott, do you think they can replicate an above 500 performance?
Yeah, I definitely think they can. Also 6 and 6 at the Worlds last year, like pretty good. I think they beat Japan, they beat Denmark, beat Scotland. So this team can hang with anyone, and I'd have them closer to the top of the field than to the bottom.
Yeah, Dealshot's been on a pretty steady rise. I mean, progress is not linear, so you don't know if you're a few bad shots away from getting relegated in a field this deep. But it would be pretty cool to see them make the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, and bringing us home for the women's A side, it is Germany. Changing to the guard in Germany, Daniela Jentsch is out. She is retired from competitive curling. So it is Amira Abes.
Yeah.
Go with that. Is in. She was the 3rd for Team Jentsch last season, where they went 5 and 4, finishing in 7th place. It is her 6th time at the Euros. First, of course, as a skip. Lena Kapp is in at the 3rd position, and she was the spare back in 2022. So when you look back at the events for this team where Amira was playing, was in the house, they've done pretty good. 3rd best force efficiency last year, 58%, only gave up 13 multiples against in the 9 games. They had 21-4, so you really like that. They had 15 steals for, only 8 against. So you kind of like those peripherals for last year. And that 5 and 4, because everyone was clustered together, that could have easily been a 6 and 3. Got them into the playoffs. 12 and 18 so far on the season. Missed the playoffs at the Danish Open. 2 events in Canada so far this season, the Autumn Gold and the Curling Stadium. 3 and 5 did not qualify at either of those events, but I think there's a chance here for them. But with Amira skipping for the first time, you got to kind of wonder what that's going to mean for her and the team. So, Ryan, is this a potential relegation squad?
I mean, they all are. This is this is a wild card team. This team got real young real quick with those retirements. But is it going to be a situation like do you have like a Tabitha Peterson situation where someone gets in there and decides, I really like this skipping thing, and then the next thing you know, they're winning.
Could be, yeah. This, like you say, it's a real wild card because we don't know how they're going to take to the new positions and such. But I not feel very comfortable picking them for the playoffs, so to speak, right out of the chute.
All right, so those are our 10 teams on the women's A side. Ryan, we went first on the men's, so we will give you the honor, if you'd like it, for the women's side. So who do you like on the A for your podium and your relegation?
Podium, give me Switzerland, Italy, Sweden, with Sweden winning.
Okay. Rana with the win.
And for relegation, give me Estonia and Germany.
Estonia and Germany. All right, Scott. For us, I think just ride the hot hand of Tiranzoni to win.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
We're creative.
Yep.
If he's going to give it to us, we got to take that, maybe score that extra point.
I like, for as much as I said, if Madeleine Dupont's not playing, Denmark could go down. I kind of like Denmark to ride the wave, defending champs, kind of do a Raptors thing where the Raptors won. Everyone's like, well, they're not going to be any good anymore. And they had a really good title defense. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm never going to pick Denmark if it's not the two of us together. So let's do it.
And who's your third squad?
I really like Norway here.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I saw them last year here in Ottawa, but that's where I'm leaning.
Okay, I'm good with that. I feel like I pick Kristen Skaslien a lot to win things and or make podiums and stuff, and she never really does. But let's go with it. Let's take a chance on that. And for relegation, I do like Germany to go down. To be honest, do you want to pull the upset and go Scotland as well?
Yeah, what the hell?
Right,
it's no fun if we're the same, right?
Yeah, so we'll go with Scotland and Germany, and I'm going to geo-block this episode from Scotland. So on the B side, yeah, that's right.
Well, I'll make sure to post. I'm going to make sure to post this on Scottish Curling Banter on Facebook.
Please do.
All right, on the B side, there are 10 teams in the field for the
Some of those guys might agree with you, though.
Yeah. From what I gather, it's not the most positive Facebook group for the home squad.
You could say that.
Yeah. So here we go. Let's go to the B side and 10 teams. You got Austria, Belgium, England, Finland, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Slovenia, and then your two promotions from last year, Poland as the seaside winner, and Slovakia is also up. So those are your 10 teams on the B side. Again, Ryan, who stands out to you out of those 10 teams, and who makes for the most interesting stories?
So who stands out to me is Latvia. This is a younger team. This is not the team that you're probably used to seeing on the world stage, and it's not the team that got relegated last year. It is Evelina Baroni's team. They were a very good junior team. She aged out. And now she's skipping Latvia here at the Eurobs. Virginia Palansketa with Lithuania. They're an interesting team. They've been around a while. Veteran team. Poland, another great story. Again, they're back. So what have they been doing while they've been away from the eye of the world? Are they going to be able to make it all the way back to the A's? And then Scott, I want to hear you pronounce the Hungarian team's names.
Scott can. Scott.
No, that's why. That's why I didn't say you.
Yeah.
Like, so, I know you can't.
So I'm looking at the skip here. It's Kalichai Van Dorp, and I'm wondering, is this
I think they're married. I think they
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Laura Neutsch, Orosolia dot Cheos, and Linda Yu from Hungary. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. That I think Lithuania to me is the team that I want to see the most out of this event. Latvia again with the young skip, going to be a good story. An old friend I used to curl with in Montreal, Hannah Augustin, is the skip of Austria. So I always root for them. But I think Latvia, Lithuania are sort of the two contenders I see.
Yeah, England's always an interesting one. They're always like
Yeah.
right there. Lisa Farnell has been the skip of that team a few times, and they've been like the last team eliminated and sent back to the B a few times without getting promoted to the A. She's the alternate this year. Anna Fowler, who with her brother Ben, people may have heard them on the mixed doubles tour, but Anna is skipping that team. So that's a team that I've heard of. So I think that they've got a fighting chance to make it in. Finland's always interesting, and this is a very new team. I don't recognize any of the names on that lineup, but Finland, it seems like, is always like right there to get promoted.
Yeah, they are.
So on the men's side, we thought there was a clear team that was definitely going to go up, and then some debate around it. On the women's side, it feels a lot more open to me for the 2 spots. So I think it's a little more interesting on the women's B side because those 2 spots in theory are open, whereas on the men's side, you kind of think one is accounted for. So Ryan, you're up again. Who do you like to get through and be on the A side next year?
All right, I've got one Baltic country going down in Estonia, and I'm going to take the other 2 Baltic countries to go up with Latvia and Lithuania.
Okay. So Latvia and Lithuania are up. Scott, who do we like to get promoted?
I really like Latvia. I think that's sort of the team I would put at the top of this field.
Okay.
Lithuania is interesting to me too, but if you want to go a different way, I could see Finland. I could see, we sent Scotland down. Why don't we send England up? And
okay,
balance of power in the British Isles. Team GB.
Team GB is still in. Yeah, Team GB.
Oh boy, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for this. But what do you think of that?
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll go Latvia and England going up.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
That would be pretty funny.
That would be
have
Scotland in the A.
Scotland in the B and England in the A. Yeah, they would never hear the end of it.
No. They wouldn't let them
Lithuania
practice at their clubs.
Lithuania would be interesting because that would be a country without any dedicated ice in the whole country making it to the European A.
That'd be pretty cool. Pretty impressive. Yeah,
for sure.
All right. So to summarize our picks here for the 2023 European Championship on the men's side, Scott and I on the A are taking Italy to win, Scotland and Sweden on the podium, Finland and Germany to be relegated. Ryan's taking Switzerland to win with Italy and Scotland on the podium, Finland and Turkey to be relegated. On the B side, Scott and I are promoting, Denmark and Spain, and Ryan is promoting Denmark and Poland. On the women's side for the A, Ryan has Sweden winning with Italy and Switzerland on the podium, Estonia and Germany going down. Women's A, we have Switzerland winning with Denmark, Norway on the podium, Scotland, Germany getting relegated. For the B side, Ryan has Latvia, Lithuania up, and we have Latvia and England up. So total possible points are 16. Loser has to drink terrible beer unless the Professor of Peel and Team Wretchless get promoted to the A side. Then we all have to do it. So those are our picks for the European Championships. Typical WCF policy and process for watching the games. Ryan, do you want 20 seconds to talk about curling streaming?
For the first time ever, I'm going to say no.
Fair enough. So just check it out. However you, whatever's going on in your country, some countries are having some television coverage. I saw in Denmark, they're showing one game on Danish television. I think it's the game against Switzerland. So it really depends on where you are, what coverage you're going to get, but you can check out the WCF for coverage in your area. So that's going to do it for us this week. So much fun, Ryan, to have you with us for our annual Bad Beer Bet. What's going on with you guys on Rocks Across the Pond? A great episode on Jamaican curling, and what else you got coming up?
Nothing.
Okay.
Stuff's busy, man. I'm letting Jonathan do Euros. I'll try to do like a recap episode with him when they get done, just to hear all about his experience there. But between everything that I have going on and everything he has going on, we really don't have anything in the hopper. But I mean, this was a blast. This really scratched the itch for talking about curling. Fortunately, my bourbon lasted exactly as long as this episode, and
Nice.
Thank you guys for having me on, mostly because that means that I don't have to edit this.
Perfect.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have you. We will reconvene at some point, either on a live or a pod, or just we'll hang out in December to settle the Bad Beer Bet. We say this all the time when Lori and Mary are in events. We tend to get crushed the week after if we're talking about the same event. So I imagine after the Euros, if you guys do a recap, I don't know, maybe we'll just steal it from you and post it as our episode too. Cause that'll be a lot of
Works
fun
for me.
to hear about Jonathan's exploits there at the World Championship. So thanks so much everybody for listening. Please do subscribe wherever you get your pods, likes, rates, comments, all that good stuff helps us. Same for Rocks Across the Pond. Subscribe to their feed if you haven't yet, and like, rate, comment for them. You can always head over GameOfThronesPod.com, past episodes, merch store, all that stuff's there. At Game of Stones Pod on socials, except for Facebook, where it's Game of Stones Podcast, GameOfStonesPodcast@gmail.com. You can get in touch. Scott, you lost on a draw to the button on Monday.
Yeah,
I'm saying you. I'm on the team, but I'm saying you.
I mean, I had a draw for 2 in the 7th. Threw it through after I'd made the horses work on the first one. So yeah, no, a lot of missed opportunities, a bad steal 2 in the 6th, a steal of 1 where I thought I should have at least gotten 1, but the shot just didn't work out. Yeah. Missed opportunity there. It was playing the team we came up from B with. So one of the games that I felt we could win, not that we can't win the other games against the strong A side, but, it's going to be tough from here, and we'll just hope to not finish last and not fall all the way to C.
Yeah, all we can do is take it one shot at a time.
There you go. Prophetic, Sean. Prophetic.
There you go. So there you have it, everybody. Enjoy the Euros. We'll be back with you again next week. But until then, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that insert.
Make the final.